I'm going to do the Capricorn daily energy, and this is a timeless reading, so this is for whenever you feel drawn to hear this message. Also, this may or may not resonate with you. If it does, take what does. If it does not, leave what does not. All right, so we had those two turned over. I think those were the only ones. Yeah. I'm just going to move this back just a little. There we go. That's better. All right, so I'm seeing this bottom one, the Fool, so I'll put that out. Ace of Wands, Four of Pentacles, the Fool, Four of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, the Star, Knight of Pentacles, and the Queen of Wands. All right, so for overall energy, we have the Queen of Wands, and that is about keeping busy, getting things done. Could be about having a lot on your plate, like it's almost like maybe you're overwhelmed because you're like, you have so much on your plate that you don't even know where to start. You don't know where to begin. It's like sometimes if you have so much to do that you don't want to do anything. And I feel like that's kind of what we have here with this Four of Pentacles. So for current energies, we have Ace of Wands, Four of Pentacles, the Fool, and Four of Wands. So I feel like maybe that is, you have so much to do, you have so much on your plate that you're like, I don't want to do anything. And how am I going to find that spark? How am I going to find that, you know, how do I get past this? And I feel like it's starting from the beginning and taking it one step at a time. To not be overwhelmed by the big picture. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by the big picture and we're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. It's like if you're packing up and you're moving a house and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to pack this whole entire house. How on earth am I going to do that? But instead of, you know, being overwhelmed by the big picture, it's like taking it one room at a time, or one drawer, one closet, one section at a time. This also could be about, with the Queen of Wands here, she's somebody who likes to take action. She's somebody who likes to do things. So I feel like also it could be about that you finally have that spark. You finally have that, like, I'm ready to do something. I'm not going to hold myself back anymore, that I'm going to look out for me. I'm going to do the things for me. I'm going to start on this new path. And I'm going to do those things that make me happy. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it. For future energies, we have the Ten of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, the Star, and the Knight of Pentacles. I feel like this is something that you do, but it's like you're taking it one step at a time. Just like I was saying before, that if you feel overwhelmed, it's taking it one step at a time. Kind of going back to basics. Sometimes if you have a really big project to do, it's like, okay, let's pare this down. Let's start from the beginning. And let's do it one step at a time to where I can understand it, where I can kind of have that checklist and say, okay, I checked that off. Like, it feels good to be able to say, okay, I can check that off and I've done that, I've accomplished that. I feel like I've gotten through that part. Kind of finding that balance to where I have stuff to do, but yes, but I've also had this stuff where I have checked some things off and I've got some things completed, and that, you know, I'm staying positive and I'm still moving forward. Like, it's slow progress, but yes, I'm moving forward, because I feel like right here it's at a standstill. Right here you could be like at a standstill because you're so overwhelmed by it. But here it's like, okay, I'm moving forward. I have a plan. I know what I want to do. I know how I can check things off, and I know what I need to do to make myself feel like I've got it under control and that I can move forward with things. I know that for me, I like to make lists with things. Sometimes it's just, I have a lot to do in one day, and so it's like I make a list and then I can check those things off. Sometimes it's like, well, I know that I have to do this, like say with the girls, like I know I have to give them a bath, and it's like, okay, sometime this week, this is kind of my weekly checklist. The girls have to have a bath, or, you know, the sheets have to be changed, or laundry needs to be done, or whatever those things are. It's like, okay, kind of having a weekly list or a daily list, or however that works for you, so that way you feel like, okay, I know what I need to do. It's not all in my head. I'm not becoming overwhelmed with all of these things that I have to do. And then if something else gets thrown onto your plate, because sometimes that can throw us over the edge. It's like one more thing added to your list. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't, I can't, something that really throws a wrench into your plan, something that you totally weren't expecting, that was like, oh, you know what, my lists were already full, I can't add more to it. But being able to look at that and say, okay, what can I readjust? What can I move around so that I can still keep moving forward? We have the Four of Wands. That is about celebrations. It's about maybe there's a family get together. Maybe you were planning on doing something, your schedule was full, and then all of a sudden there's a family get together. Or, some people are coming into town and you're like, oh boy, like I love to see you, but how am I going to squeeze this in, But making those lists, taking it one day at a time, what's top of the list that needs to be done, what are those things that can be put aside, what's more important, spending time with that family or the list, that's the thing on the list, like just kind of looking at those and assessing those things. We have Four of Swords. We have a lot of fours. Let me look up that on my handy dandy numerology book, because I'm not good with the meanings of numbers. 4, perseverance. This card indicates a time to keep moving forward as you strive to achieve your hopes and dreams, because despite your current challenges, success is well within your reach. So it's almost like, as I was saying, is that to keep moving forward and do those things that you need to do, like keep moving forward, keep going. You're on the right path, like you're getting there, like it's happening. You will get your lists done, your things done, even if things are kind of thrown in your way, but just keep moving forward. Stay calm. Don't be overwhelmed by it, okay? Think things through. Like I said, making those lists, doing those things so that you know what's at the top of the list, what things can be put onto the next list, next week's list, or next month's list, or the next day's list, whatever that is. Keeping your comfort zone, okay? Keeping your comfort zone to where you don't get overwhelmed, because if you get overwhelmed or you get frustrated, then, like I said, it's like you shut down. It's like, nope, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, maybe it's a conversation that you have to have with someone. Maybe it's a confrontation that you have to have with someone, and you're like, oh, I have all these things that I want to say to this person, and I just don't even know how to start. Sometimes it helps to write that down on a piece of paper. Organize your thoughts. What is it that you want to say? What is it that you're feeling? What is it that you need to discuss? And kind of narrowing that down to, okay, this is what's most important to me, and then having that plan to where you feel more organized, taking things into your own hands, taking control of the situation, figuring out what you need and what you don't need. That's very rewarding, because then you feel like you have some control over a situation. Sometimes it's more chaotic if we feel like we don't have a control over a situation. Some situations we can't control, but what are those things that we can kind of handle within ourselves? What are those lists that we can make? What are those things that can help us to feel calmer, kind of figuring those things out to get past this situation? Like I was saying, if it's a conversation that you have to have with a family member, maybe, like I said, figuring how do you really feel? What is it that you want to say? Sorting that out before you talk to that person, so that way when you're having that conversation, you know what you want to talk about, you know what it is that you want to do, and you know that when you're done with the conversation that you've answered everything, or you've asked, or you've touched on the topic of everything that you've wanted to talk about, that you haven't left any doors open, so that way it's not still bothering you, that it's not still lingering. 5 of Wands, I feel like that's taking that power into your own hands and figuring this out. Like you've got it. You've got control. You can do it. It might be slow and steady progress, but it's moving towards the good. Okay, and these two seem to have wanted to come out. We have the Knight of Cups, and then we have the 5 of Cups. So I feel like for some of you, it could be about talking with someone about a situation that maybe has been lingering, has been bothering you, has been irritating you, and it's like maybe that situation is affecting other areas of your life, And it's time for you to just take control of that and just figure that out, figure out what you want to say and have that conversation. Reaching out, Knight of Cups is that handing your cup out, reaching out, connecting with someone. So, and then this with the Five of Cups, that she's, you know, focusing on these 3 spilt cups. She's really sad. You know, she's pouring out the liquid in them, but she does still have 2 cups here. So I feel like maybe for some of you, like I said, it is a conversation that you have to have with somebody, that it's affecting other areas of your life and you're not able to focus on those things because it's making you shut down, but it's time for you to work through that, to figure it out. And like I said, making those lists, figuring out what you want to talk about. And sometimes it could just be about you just writing on a piece of paper, how do you feel about that situation? You know, how are you really exploring how you feel? If it's bothering you, why is it bothering you? What about that is bothering you? You know, and what are those things that you can do to help work through it? What are those things that you can do to help fix it? What are those actions that you can take to work through it? Whatever works for you. But I feel like this is something that you have to handle. Right now, you're maybe in the overwhelmed stage. You've got a lot on your mind. You've got a lot going on. But here I feel like you kind of find that clarity on those things that you need to do in order to find that balance. So that way you can get through this situation, and so that it won't affect the different areas of your life. If it's affecting different, maybe it's affecting different relationships. Maybe you're, you know, sometimes when we get really irritated with someone that we don't even realize it, but it's affecting our relationships with other people that have nothing to do with the person that you're irritated with. And you're just feeling angry, you're just feeling agitated, you know, and then that energy makes other things happen. It's like, you know, you're mad with someone and then you're frustrated with that, and then all of a sudden everyone that you're talking to is, you know, they're mad at you too, and then your dinner burns, and, you know, your package gets lost. It's like all of this stuff starts happening because you're like in this energy and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's the root of the problem? What do I have to really deal with? Because you're being in that angry energy, that irritated energy that's affecting, like everything you see is just having a negative outlook. And sometimes we really have to look and say, yeah, like, acknowledge, yeah, I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood today, and I got to figure out why, and I got to get to the root of the problem, and I got to handle this situation because this is affecting different areas of my life. And acknowledge, saying that, yeah, I'm really irritated by this situation. How am I going to get past this? How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to let this energy go? Tend to the small things, a little bit, little things at a time. You know, sometimes it's those little things. Like I said, writing it down on a piece of paper, getting it out of your head, letting it out of your system, just putting it down, and then going through and sorting and figuring things out. Or maybe it's somebody that you can talk to, that you can communicate and say, you know what, I'm really irritated about this situation. What do you think I should do? And then you can hear what they have to say. And then sometimes that helps you to figure out what it is that you want to do. It doesn't mean you have to do what they say, but it's like, well, thanks for that situation. Or is it, you know, just kind of finding your, you know, sometimes it's like you have to get into neutral ground. So maybe it's like, well, you like to go to the beach. So you go to the beach and you walk around, and then you're able to find the answer, more like a clear answer on what it is that you want to do, or at least a direction to go in. Or if you like to do a puzzle and you're like, okay, I'm just going to sit and I'm going to do a puzzle and I'm not going to think about this situation. And sometimes just you being calm and settling down, then you're like, oh, and then when you go back to it, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? This is how I can deal with it. Or, you know what, that really wasn't bothering me as much as I thought. Or, you know, kind of coming to that answer, that conclusion on what it is that you wanted to do, having that clarity. All right. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I will see you next time.